The palace of the alien queen towered like a living monument, its silver spires glinting in the midday sun. The throne hall was immense, filled with golden light that danced across polished floors and carved walls. The queen sat high upon her crystalline throne, her eyes like molten gold, sharp and unreadable. Around her, nobles whispered, their armored guards standing like statues. At the center of the hall, a single human stood, calm and unarmed. His dark hair fell slightly into his eyes, but his posture was steady, unshaken by the hundreds of alien eyes staring at him. Beside him, the princess, her silver hair gleaming like sunlight on ice, looked uneasy, unsure whether to be angry or curious. The queen's voice broke the silence, low and commanding. "Human, yesterday you spoke words that none dared. You claim my daughter's beauty is a burden, a force. Explain yourself." The human's eyes swept across the hall, not flinching at the noble's stares. "Your Majesty, beauty is not just admiration. It can be a trap, a cage unseen, a power that enslaves those who fail to resist it." Gasps echoed through the hall. The princess's lips trembled, her eyes narrowing. For the first time, someone spoke to her not with flattery, but with truth. The queen leaned forward, her fingers tapping the throne's crystal armrest. "And yet you do not fear it? You do not seek to claim it?" The human's gaze softened as it fell upon the princess. "I seek not to claim. I seek to protect, to see her free from the chains her beauty has always forced upon her." A silence heavier than stone fell across the room. Nobles murmured, guards shifted uncomfortably, and the princess felt a strange flutter of hope amidst the tension. For the first time, she wondered, was it possible for someone to see her for her soul, and not just her face? The queen's golden eyes narrowed, her voice now a whisper that carried like steel. "Tomorrow you will face those who desire her, those who see her as a prize. Stand firm, human, for your words alone may not be enough to save her." The human nodded, calm as a mountain. "As you command, your Majesty." As the hall emptied, the princess lingered, stepping closer to him. Why do you see me like this?" she asked, her voice barely audible. He looked at her, his eyes steady, carrying both warmth and weight. "Because I see what others ignore. I see the chains no one dares to name, and I will not let them bind you." For the first time, the princess felt the weight of truth, and with it, a spark of hope that she had never known. After the court had dispersed, the human walked through the palace's long corridors, the sunlight from the towering windows casting patterns like liquid gold across the floor. Every step echoed, not with fear, but with purpose. Behind him, the princess followed quietly, her curiosity stronger than caution. "This corridor, no one dares to walk here," she whispered, her fingers brushing against the walls adorned with shifting symbols that glowed faintly, almost alive. "Even the nobles avoid it. It's said to be cursed." The human glanced at her, his expression calm yet intense. "Cursed by fear, not by truth. Some chains are invisible, and yet more dangerous." She paused, her silver hair falling over one shoulder. "Your words, they are strange. You speak like you've seen more than just this palace. More than just me." He stopped and turned, his eyes meeting hers. "I've seen what beauty can do. How it can enslave, corrupt, destroy, even the strongest minds. That is why I do not seek to possess it. I seek to protect it, from everyone, even her own mother if necessary." The princess's eyes widened, a mix of shock and awe. For the first time, someone wasn't dazzled by her beauty, wasn't afraid to speak the truth she had buried deep inside herself. They reached the end of the corridor, where a massive door carved from black crystal stood. Ancient runes shimmered faintly along its edges. "This leads to the Chamber of Secrets," the human said softly. "The place where her power was first noticed, and where many lost themselves trying to claim it." Her heart skipped a beat. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because tomorrow, you must see the truth for yourself," he replied. "Not just the court's lies, nor the whispers of suitors. The real test begins here. And only if you understand what your beauty truly is, will you survive it." The air thickened, charged with tension and light. The princess shivered, half with fear, half with anticipation. For the first time, she felt that her life could change forever, and that this human, calm and unyielding, held the key. The next morning, sunlight spilled across the palace in golden streams, scattering across crystal floors and casting prisms of light into the vast halls. The human led the princess through corridors that seemed older than time itself, the air thick with the scent of ancient stone and incense. Every step they took echoed like a heartbeat, slow and deliberate, as if the palace itself was aware of their approach. At last, they arrived at a massive double door, taller than any window in the throne hall, carved from obsidian black crystal. Glowing runes pulsed faintly, shifting as if alive, reacting to their presence. The human placed a hand on the door, and it responded, sliding open silently, revealing a chamber unlike any she had ever seen. The walls were lined with towering statues, each depicting warriors, scholars, and kings, all frozen mid-motion, eyes seemingly following them. The ceiling arched high above, painted with murals of galaxies colliding, suns being born, and civilizations rising and falling. At the center of the room was a pool of liquid silver, shimmering like mercury, reflecting the princess and the human in distorted, almost prophetic ways. "This is the Chamber of Secrets," he said quietly, his voice calm yet resonant. "Here, the truth of your beauty was first discovered, and here, the ones who sought to possess it were broken." The princess swallowed hard. Her reflection shimmered in the silver pool, but it was not the face she had always seen in mirrors. In this reflection, her eyes glowed faintly, her presence commanding, almost unnatural. She stepped closer, mesmerized. I don't understand. Why does it feel like the room itself knows me?" "Because it does," he replied. "This chamber is attuned to the soul. Beauty is only the surface. What lies beneath power, influence, fear, it all converges here. Many have come seeking to claim you, to wield your presence as a weapon. Few have left unchanged." She trembled, her fingers brushing the surface of the silver pool. Visions flickered in the liquid, flashbacks of suitors, nobles, and warriors entranced, falling to their knees, their eyes hollowed by obsession. Some scenes were ancient, some recent. All carried the same warning: beauty, when misused, could enslave. "And you," she whispered, turning to him, "you're not afraid?" The human's gaze was steady, unwavering. "I have seen the truth before, and I do not seek to possess it. I seek to free it, free you. The court fears this chamber because it reflects more than beauty. It reflects the chains everyone wears around your power, chains made of desire, envy, and fear." Her chest tightened. For the first time, she felt not like a princess adorned in jewels, but like a prisoner in her own life. The walls of the chamber seemed to pulse, almost breathing, alive with the weight of centuries. She looked up at him. "And what if I fail tomorrow? What if the court, the suitors—" "You will not fail," he said firmly. "Not if you understand this. Not if you see yourself not as an ornament, but as a person. That is the only weapon they cannot break, the only shield no one can pierce." The chamber seemed to hum in response, the silver pool rippling with possibilities, futures yet unwritten. The princess's eyes glistened with tears, but she no longer felt fear alone. She felt clarity and a strange spark of hope. Outside, the palace stirred with the whispers of the morning. But within this chamber, in the silence between shadows and light, she realized something terrifying yet liberating. Her beauty was not a gift given to her. It was a responsibility. And the human beside her, calm, steadfast, unafraid, was the first to see it as it truly was. The sun had climbed higher, flooding the throne hall with warm, golden light that sparkled against crystal pillars and polished floors. The chamber buzzed with anticipation. Nobles whispered, warriors shifted uneasily, and guards stood rigid, their weapons gleaming in the morning sun. At the far end, the queen sat upon her throne, radiating authority, her crown catching every ray of light, eyes fixed on the human with a mix of fury, curiosity, and something dangerously close to respect. The princess stood beside her, her silver hair catching the light like liquid metal. Her heart pounded, not with fear, but with a mixture of curiosity and dread. She could feel the weight of every gaze in the room, all measuring her, analyzing her. And at the center of it all stood the human, unarmed, calm, resolute. One by one, the suitors entered. The first was a massive warlord, his scales black as obsidian and eyes burning like molten gold. "You are nothing," he growled, voice echoing against the pillars. "Weak, unworthy. And yet, you dare stand here before me?" The human's gaze never wavered. "You see only conquest," he replied evenly, "not the soul behind the crown. True strength is not in possession, but in understanding." Whispers rippled through the court. Some nodded reluctantly, others glared with disbelief. The warlord's fists tightened, but he dared not strike. Next came a young prince, draped in silks of emerald and gold, smiling with sharp, cunning teeth. "I will give her everything," he boasted. "Palaces, armies, jewels beyond imagining. She will be mine, and through her, all the worlds will bow." "You offer treasures," the human said, voice cutting like a blade. "But treasures are cages. They shine, they dazzle, but they do not free. She does not need cages, no matter how golden. The chamber shivered with tension. One by one, suitors, princes, generals, lords stepped forward, each presenting their offer, each speaking with hunger and pride, each expecting her to be a prize. And each time, the human met them with a truth sharper than steel. You see her crown, not her heart. You see her as a symbol, not a soul. You speak of possession, not of love. The princess's chest tightened. For the first time, she felt a strange mixture of relief and awe. Here was a man who did not fear her power, who did not fall for the traps of beauty or influence. Finally, a cloaked figure stepped forward. The room seemed to hold its breath. Even the queen's expression flickered with unease. The figure's face was hidden, but the air around him was cold, charged, almost suffocating. When he pulled back his hood, gasps erupted across the hall. Silver eyes, flawless features, identical to the princess's. "Brother," she whispered, staggering backward, her hand flying to her mouth. "Yes," the cloaked figure said, his voice low and hollow. "I was the firstborn. I too carried beauty that men and empires feared. And I was hidden, erased, because my presence was dangerous. And now, human, you stand against me. You see her. But can you withstand what comes next?" The human's chest rose and fell steadily. He did not falter. He had faced the suitors, faced the hunger of armies, and now he faced something older, deeper, and far more dangerous. "You may fall," the brother said, voice like ice. "And if you do, her power will destroy you both. Are you ready to stand against it?" The princess's eyes widened. Fear and anticipation battled within her, but she did not step back. She trusted him, perhaps more than she had trusted anyone before. "I will not bow," the human said, voice firm, echoing through the chamber. "I do not seek to possess. I seek to free." The queen's golden eyes narrowed, the chamber trembling with tension. Silence fell like a weight. In that moment, every being in the room realized this was not just a test of strength or courage. It was a test of heart, will, and truth. And the first step toward liberation had already begun. The morning sun bathed the throne hall in a harsh, golden glow, casting long shadows from the towering crystal pillars. The air was thick with anticipation. Every noble, every warrior, every guard held their breath. At the center, the human stood calm, unarmed, facing the line of suitors who had come not to woo, but to conquer. The princess watched from the side, her heart pounding. She could feel the invisible weight of her own beauty pressing against him, testing him, threatening to overwhelm his senses. Every step the suitors took forward seemed to echo in her mind. The first challenger approached, a towering alien warrior, muscles rippling under scarred, metallic armor. His eyes blazed with hunger and arrogance. "You dare defy us?" he roared, raising a massive spear. "Your strength is nothing. You will fall before her power, just like all the rest." The human's gaze was steady, unwavering. "Power that enslaves is not strength," he replied, his voice calm, carrying over the murmurs of the court. "It is a cage, and I do not bow to cages." A ripple of surprise and anger passed through the hall. The warrior lunged, striking the air with his spear in a display of force, expecting the human to flinch. But the human stood motionless, unshaken, as if the pull of the princess's beauty had no hold over him. Next came a young prince, his silks glinting like sunlight on water, smile sharp, teeth bared in confidence. "I offer her kingdoms, riches beyond your comprehension," he boasted, stepping closer. "What can a weak human offer in comparison?" "You offer chains," the human said, voice firm. "Chains gilded with gold, but still chains. True freedom cannot be bought or won with treasures. It is given and earned." Whispers spread like wildfire. The nobles leaned forward, uncertain, intrigued. The princess's breath caught. For the first time, she felt that her beauty, the very thing that had imprisoned her, was not an obstacle but a revelation. One by one, the suitors presented their offers, each more tempting, more dangerous than the last. Armies, palaces, unimaginable power. And each time, the human answered, cutting through the illusion of desire with truths that shook the court to its core. "You see crowns, you see riches," he told them, "but not her heart. You see her beauty, but not her soul. You speak of possession, not love." Gasps echoed. Some warriors shifted uncomfortably, remembering how her gaze had affected them. Others turned pale, realizing that her beauty was more than admiration. It was a force, a test of their will. Finally, a hush fell over the hall as the last figure approached. Cloaked in shadow, tall and silent, his face hidden, the air around him chilled the room. When he removed his hood, the chamber erupted in shock. His silver eyes mirrored the princess's, perfect features carved like marble, yet his gaze was cold, empty of warmth. "Brother," the princess whispered, staggering back. Fear, awe, and a flicker of hope battled within her. "Yes," the cloaked figure said, voice low and dangerous. "I am the firstborn, hidden, erased, feared. And now, human, you stand not just against suitors, but against the power I once wielded, the power that shattered worlds." The human's chest rose and fell steadily. He did not falter. "I do not seek to conquer," he said. "I seek to free." The queen's golden eyes narrowed, and the chamber seemed to hold its breath. A storm of tension crackled through the air. All eyes were on the human, all hearts racing. In that moment, everyone understood that this was no ordinary test. It was a trial of courage, of heart, and of unshakable will. The princess's hands trembled, her silver hair flowing like a river of light. She realized that the man before her was not just strong, he was extraordinary. He had resisted temptation, defied power, and seen truth where none dared to look. And as the cloaked brother stepped forward, the human's greatest battle yet loomed ahead. The trial of words had ended, but the trial of destiny, of love, and of survival had only just begun. The hall was silent now, the echo of the last suitor's words still hanging in the air like smoke. Sunlight poured through the crystal windows, scattering golden shards across the polished floor, but the warmth of the light could not touch the tension that gripped the room. The human stood tall, calm as ever, facing the cloaked brother. Their eyes locked, a silent understanding passing between them. The princess watched from the side, her heart pounding. She knew this confrontation was more than a test. It was a battle for her very existence. The cloaked figure's lips curved into a bitter smile. "You resist her beauty," he said, voice low, dripping with menace. "But all who stand before her eventually fall. You will not be different." "I do not wish to fall," the human replied, his gaze unwavering. "I only wish to protect her, to give her freedom that no crown, no empire, no beauty has ever allowed." A murmur ran through the court. Nobles and warriors shifted uneasily. Even the queen's eyes glimmered with something unreadable, curiosity mixed with caution. The brother stepped closer, every movement deliberate, measured. His silver eyes seemed to pierce through the human's calm facade. "And if she chooses her power over you? If she decides that her beauty is her weapon, not her cage?" The human's jaw tightened. "Then I will stand. I will not let her chains define her, nor my fear dictate my actions. Beauty is a force, yes, but it is not the master of a willing heart." The princess gasped softly, her hands clutching the edge of her gown. Her breath caught as the invisible tension between the two men radiated like fire. She could feel the pull of her own beauty against the human, the same force that had entrapped everyone else, but he did not falter. The queen's voice cut through the hall, sharp and commanding. "Enough words. Let action reveal truth. If your heart is strong, human, withstand the power that even my firstborn could not." With that, the cloaked brother extended his hand toward the princess. A wave of energy rippled through the room, invisible yet palpable. The air felt heavier, charged. The invisible chains of her beauty stretched outward, pressing against the human, testing his limits, trying to bend his will. He felt it, the pull, the weight, the danger, but he did not stagger. Instead, he lifted his head, shoulders squared, and met the princess's eyes. "I do not fear her beauty," he said firmly. "I respect it, but I will not be controlled by it. I will not bow. I will not fall." Gasps filled the hall. Even the courtiers whispered in awe. The princess's eyes glistened with tears, not from fear, but from realization. For the first time, someone had seen her, not her beauty, not her crown, but her heart. The cloaked brother's expression shifted, surprise flickering behind the cold mask. He had underestimated the human's resolve. Slowly, he lowered his hand, but his silver eyes still burned with intensity. "Perhaps you are stronger than I expected," he admitted, though his voice carried a warning. The queen leaned forward, her golden crown shimmering, her gaze fixed like molten metal. "Human, you have passed the first trial of courage. But the trial of destiny is far from over. Tomorrow you will face the final test, a choice that could save her or destroy everything you hold dear." The hall fell into tense silence, each heartbeat echoing like a drum. The princess stepped forward, her voice trembling yet clear. I trust you." The human inclined his head, a faint, determined smile on his lips. "Then tomorrow, we will face the truth together." The crystal windows reflected the rising sun, scattering light like fire across the throne hall. The trial had begun, but the true battle, the battle of hearts, freedom, and fate, was only just dawning. The next dawn rose like a blade through the clouds. The throne hall was transformed. The banners of the royal house rippled high, the air heavy with the scent of burning incense and judgment. Nobles, warriors, and emissaries from distant worlds filled the balconies, their whispers echoing like the rustle of wings before a storm. At the center stood the human, unarmed, calm. Across from him, the princess, radiant yet fragile, her beauty pulsing like light through glass. Between them, on the throne, sat the queen, her golden eyes sharp, her crown blazing with authority. "This is the trial of truth," the queen declared, her voice carrying across the hall. "You claim to see beyond her beauty, to see her soul. Then today you will prove it. Before my court, before my bloodline, before the empire itself." The human bowed slightly. "Then let truth decide, not power." From the shadows, the cloaked brother stepped forward, his silver eyes glinting like blades. "And if your truth fails," he said softly, "you die." The nobles murmured, some with awe, others with hunger. The hall crackled with energy. The princess's voice trembled as she spoke. "Mother, please. Haven't you tested him enough?" But the queen only raised a hand, silencing her. "You have been blinded by love and pity, child. If this human's heart is truly stronger than your power, then let him prove it, not with words, but with what lies within." She gestured, and suddenly the crystal walls of the hall shifted, glowing faintly. Light curved and shimmered, forming images in the air, memories, reflections, fragments of truth. The human's eyes widened as he realized what it was, an ancient royal relic, a memory chamber that revealed not lies, but the secret desires of the soul. The queen's voice echoed coldly. "Step inside, human. Let the court see the truth of your heart." The princess gasped. "No! The chamber exposes everything, even thoughts you don't admit to yourself." But he only smiled faintly. "If my truth cannot survive light, then it was never truth at all." He stepped forward, entering the glowing circle. The air shimmered, and in an instant the court saw visions unfold, not of conquest, not of lust or ambition, but of a memory. A small blue planet under a dying sun, a child looking up at the stars with hope in his eyes. They saw him walking through battlefields, through ruins, helping the fallen, carrying others when he could barely stand. They saw his loneliness, his fear, and his choice to see beauty even in the darkness. Gasps rippled through the court. Even the queen's expression faltered for a moment. Then another vision rose, the princess standing in the light, her face both terrible and divine. And the human's hand reaching toward her, not to claim, not to worship, but to free. The chamber flickered. The visions faded. Silence fell. The queen stood slowly. "You speak truth." Her voice was softer now, uncertain for the first time. But truth alone cannot save her. From the edge of the throne, the brother stepped forward, anger flashing in his eyes. "No, mother. You see what he hides. His heart is strong, but if she chooses him, the curse will break. And when it breaks, it will consume her." The hall erupted. Nobles shouted in confusion, guards raised their weapons, and the princess froze, her blood running cold. "Consume me," she whispered. The brother turned toward her, his voice trembling. "Our beauty was never a blessing. It was a seal, a prison holding the ancient power of our kind. Break it, and you unleash the storm." The human's face hardened. "Then let it break. Let her choose her life, not the chains you call destiny." The queen's hand tightened on her throne, her eyes blazing gold. "You do not understand, human. If the seal breaks, this world will burn." The chamber trembled, light flickering across every surface. The princess looked between them, her mother's fear, her brother's warning, and the human's faith. Her voice broke the chaos. "Then let it burn," she whispered, "because I would rather burn in freedom than live as a weapon." The hall fell silent. Every noble froze. Even the queen's breath caught. And in that silence, the first crack of light split the air around the princess. Her beauty, once controlled, once bound, began to unravel into something vast, ancient, and divine. The true power beneath her curse was awakening, and the human did not step back. He stepped closer. The world trembled. The trial was no longer about truth, it was about survival. The light tore through the marble walls like fire through silk. The throne cracked, its gemstones scattering across the floor like fallen stars. The banners of the royal court, once symbols of pride, now burned in golden flame. The princess floated above the dais, her eyes pure white, her hair rising in a storm of radiant energy. Every breath she took shattered the air around her. Her voice was no longer her own, it was the voice of something older, something the universe itself had tried to forget. "I was never born to be a queen," she whispered, her voice echoing through 1,000 frequencies. I was born to be the storm that ends empires. The nobles ran. The guards fell to their knees, their armor melting from the heat of her awakening. The queen, trembling, raised her hands toward her daughter. Child, please, stop before you destroy yourself. But the human stepped forward through the inferno, each step slow, deliberate. The flames bent away from him, as if even chaos respected his resolve. He shouted through the roar, "You are not a weapon. You are a choice." The princess's glow flickered for a heartbeat, the faintest glimpse of her true self. Tears ran down her glowing face. You don't understand, the curse feeds on emotion. The stronger I feel, the faster it consumes me. He smiled softly, eyes locked on hers. Then let it consume us both. The brother roared from behind, drawing his blade, its edge forged from starlight. No! You will not doom this world for your fragile love. He charged faster than light, but the human moved first. With nothing but his bare hands, he caught the strike. The impact cracked the floor beneath them, sending shockwaves through the throne hall. The brother stared in disbelief. You how? The human's eyes glowed faintly blue. Because she believed in me. And then, the chamber itself began to fracture, reality bending under the raw power of the curse breaking free. The queen screamed, clutching her throne as the world tilted. The seal is undone. The heart of the ancients is waking. Outside the palace, the skies turned red. Stars fell from orbit, streaking across the horizon. Mountains split. The ocean rose like a living beast. But within the chaos, the princess descended slowly, her light dimming, her body collapsing as if the energy was draining her soul. The human caught her before she hit the ground. Her skin was cold, her heartbeat fading. You freed me, she whispered weakly. But I have to finish it, before the world ends. He held her tighter. Then we finish it together. The brother, wounded and furious, crawled forward. If she releases that power fully, she'll erase everything. Every city, every life. But she was already lifting her hand, light gathering in her palm, the same light that had once created worlds. The human placed his hand over hers. Then we make it count. The queen's voice broke, a whisper of both awe and sorrow. 2 souls against the will of the cosmos. The hall vanished in blinding white. And in that moment, when time itself hesitated, the power of creation and destruction fused. The curse shattered. The palace exploded into light. And silence swallowed the universe. The battlefield had long gone silent. Smoke still drifted between the broken pillars of the royal citadel, and the scent of ash clung to the cold air. Beneath the ruins, the stars began to return, one by one, faint and trembling, as if afraid to shine again. Aiden stood at the edge of the shattered hall, his armor scorched, his hands trembling. In his grasp, he held the last shard of the queen's golden crown, the symbol of a power that had nearly consumed them all. He turned it slowly in his hand, watching how the dying light caught its edges. For a moment, it looked like a fallen sun. Across the hall, Sarai knelt beside her brother's still form. The cloaked prince, who had once been the embodiment of beauty and destruction, now looked peaceful, human even. His last words echoed faintly in her mind. Our curse ends with you. She lifted her gaze to Aiden. Their eyes met through the smoke. No words passed between them, but both understood. Their story was no longer about love or defiance. It had become a promise. As dawn broke over the ruins, Sarai rose, her cloak torn and her crown shattered. She looked upon her fallen kingdom and whispered, Let the galaxy forget our beauty, but remember our hearts. Aiden walked to her side, placing the crown shard in her palm. Then we start again, he said quietly. Together, they stepped into the new light, 2 survivors of a war between desire and will. Behind them, the palace crumbled into dust. Ahead, the horizon burned gold, and for the first time, the beauty of the world didn't demand worship. It simply asked to be seen. And as they disappeared into the light, a single phrase echoed across the stars, carried by the wind, whispered through time. He saw her not as a goddess, but as a soul.